Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive, and this time we're getting personalized. We're talking about creating a morning routine that's really more than just a routine.
Yeah, it's about connecting with nature and just like setting yourself up for a good day.
Yeah, like a thriving day. I saw that phrase in one of the articles. We've got, I think, a really interesting mix of stuff to look at today. We've got expert advice, research, practical tips.
Even recipes for
That,
breakfast.
oh yeah, there's some recipes in here. I forgot about that. Um, but yeah, I mean, imagine starting your day and you just feel energized and you feel creative, you feel like you're in tune.
With the world.
Yeah, the natural world. So that's what we're going to dive into today.
It's fascinating how even small things like in your morning can change the entire day. Like little shifts.
Right.
And we'll explore that, like how bringing in nature can change your stress levels,
Yeah.
even sleep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and even your brain chemistry, which is wild.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start with the foundation, I guess, like routine itself. Why is it so powerful and how does it work with our biology?
Well, we have these internal clocks called circadian rhythms,
Right.
which are very, very tied to light.
Okay.
So when you kind of align yourself with the sun, you're working with your body
Yeah.
instead of against it.
I see. Yeah.
It's like giving your body the cues it needs.
Oh, okay. So that's why I think it was in one of the articles you sent. It
Mm.
was talking about even using like a wake up light
Yeah.
that mimics
Yeah.
the sunrise. Like that could make a difference.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just like, oh, I feel more rested. It actually changes your hormones.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the melatonin that makes you sleepy goes down.
Yeah.
And then your cortisol, which gives you energy, goes up.
I see. So that's setting you up for a much better day.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Productive, focused day.
That makes a lot of sense. So then I guess that's kind of where the concept of mindfulness.
Exactly. Yeah. Instead of your mind racing to the to-do list, you're actually savoring the morning.
Right.
Even just taking a few breaths and noticing like the colors of the sunrise or the sounds of birds.
Well, I love that.
It shifts everything.
Finding those little pockets of stillness.
Yes.
But what about for people who they don't live near a forest or they don't have a backyard?
Yeah.
How can they bring nature into their routine when they're maybe surrounded by concrete?
So this is where like creating a space that is inspired by nature comes in.
Okay.
And houseplants are a fantastic way to do this.
Oh, yeah.
They're not just pretty, a lot of them clean the air.
Right. I was reading about spider plants and peace lilies, how they're really good at removing toxins,
That's right.
which is incredible. I had no idea. Like
No.
something so simple can do so much.
Yeah. And even if you're like limited on space, you can make a green corner
Oh, okay.
or even try like a vertical garden, which is cool. Yeah. And beyond just plants, think about what you're using for decoration.
Oh, okay.
Use natural materials like wood and stone and calming colors,
Yeah.
like earthy tones.
That makes sense. I'm actually curious about, I've heard a lot of people talking about this idea of grounding lately, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure I totally get it.
Yeah, so grounding is really about that feeling of being like rooted, like connected to the earth. And it's not just physical, it's like energetically.
Okay.
So it's that feeling of stability that you get when you're in nature.
Okay.
And it's interesting, there are certain yoga poses
Oh, really?
that they say enhance that feeling of grounding.
Like what? I'd love to hear about those.
Things like mountain pose and tree pose, where
Yeah.
you're literally like standing tall and rooted.
Right. Yeah.
It gives you that sense of stability.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And even simple stretches,
Yeah.
where you lengthen your spine, open your chest.
Let's say.
It can make you feel more grounded and expansive.
Oh, wow. So it's almost like those poses are mimicking the strength of trees or something.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. And speaking of nature, there was a lot of talk about nature sounds in the research and
Yeah.
how they can affect, our mood and focus.
Yeah.
Was that something that you looked into?
Yeah, and the research is compelling. It's not just about covering up other sounds. It seems like some nature sounds can actually lower stress hormones,
Wow.
even help you think better.
So could listening to bird song or ocean waves, could that be almost as good as actually being in nature?
Well, nothing replaces being outside, but the research does say it's good for you. And we can even go further by, visualizing. So you close your eyes and picture those calming scenes.
Oh, like creating your own little mental
Escape.
yeah, mental escape. I know sometimes I'll even listen to guided meditations with nature sounds to relax.
Oh, those can be incredibly helpful.
Hmm.
And there are specific breathing techniques, inspired by nature.
Oh, I'd love to hear more about those. What are some examples?
Well, there's one that uses the rhythm of waves.
Yeah.
You inhale as the wave rises and exhale as it crashes.
Oh, I love that.
And then there's one that mimics a stream,
Okay.
smooth, continuous breath.
Yeah.
And then one that focuses on stillness, like in the forest.
Wow.
It helps you find that stillness within.
I love the imagery of all that. So we're kind of borrowing from nature to regulate our own
Exactly.
breath and energy.
Yeah.
And that actually ties in nicely to the idea of gratitude practices, like focusing on the gifts of nature, I guess.
Yeah, gratitude is incredibly powerful. And when you aim that gratitude at nature,
right,
it enhances your appreciation for the natural world. And it just makes you more positive, more resilient.
Yeah. It's like acknowledging all the abundance around us.
Yeah.
Even the little things. I mean, I know in some of the stuff you sent, they were talking about even little things like
Right.
appreciating the warmth of the sun or the colors of a flower. Some people were even talking about creating a nature mandala or keeping a gratitude stone.
Yeah, I love that. And it just highlights that you don't need some big event to connect with nature. It's the little things.
Right, those small moments
throughout
the day. So speaking of routine, let's talk about breakfast.
Okay.
Would it even be a nature-inspired morning without, like, a healthy seasonal breakfast?
It's key to realize that seasonal food has way more nutrients,
Right.
more flavor, too.
Yeah.
And by eating local, you're helping local farmers, and it's better for the environment.
Right, that's a win-win. Do you have any, like, go-to breakfast recipes, that are nature-inspired?
I love oatmeal with seasonal fruit and nuts.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, it's warm and comforting.
Yeah.
And in summer, I like to add berries.
Yeah.
And then in fall, I go for apples or pears.
Oh, that sounds so good. I'm always looking for new breakfast ideas. I like that ties into, I know I'm really interested in this idea of nature journaling, which I think we saw
Oh, yeah.
in a few of the sources.
Yeah. Nature journaling is great. It
Yeah.
strengthens that connection with the natural world.
Mm.
And it makes you more mindful and creative, too.
I'm kind of intrigued,
Yeah.
but I have to admit, I'm not, like, a great artist or anything.
Right.
Do I have to have some kind of special skill to nature journal?
No, not at all. That's the beauty of it. It's for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're good at art or writing.
Okay.
It's your own personal space to connect with nature. There's no rules. You can write, draw, make lists, whatever you want.
Okay, that's good. That takes the pressure off.
Oh.
Because I'm more of a doodler than, like, a
Yeah.
Da Vinci or something.
Doodles are perfect. Actually, one of the best things about it is that it uses all your senses. You use words, images, colors, even textures.
Okay, that sounds really cool. But I'm still a little lost on, like, what I would actually, write or draw about. Do you have any tips, for someone just starting out?
Well, inspiration is all around you.
Okay.
You just have to, like, open your senses and pay attention.
Okay, but be specific. Like, give me some examples.
Okay, let's say you're on a walk. Instead of just walking, slow down. Look around. What colors do you see?
Yeah.
Shapes,
Wow.
textures. What sounds do you hear? Any smells?
Okay.
Then you just write it all down.
So it's about, like, engaging all those senses.
Yes.
And paying attention to things you might normally miss.
Exactly. And it can be as simple as just a list.
Okay.
Or you can describe, a specific plant that catches your eye.
Mm-hmm.
Or an animal.
Mm.
You can even just, do a quick sketch.
Okay, yeah, like a little snapshot.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And as you do this more and more, you might start noticing patterns.
Oh, okay.
Maybe you're drawn to certain colors,
Yeah.
shapes, places.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So it can help you figure out what you're drawn to in nature.
Exactly. And it can be a powerful tool for thinking about your emotions and how they relate to the natural world.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, think about it. Nature can make you feel a lot of different emotions.
Right, yeah.
Awe when you look at the stars.
Yeah.
Peace when you're walking in a forest.
That's true.
And when you pay attention to those feelings and write about them, it helps you understand yourself better.
So it's not just about what's outside, it's about your inner world too.
Exactly. And a lot of times, those two are linked. Nature is like a mirror,
Oh, wow.
reflecting your own thoughts and feelings back at you.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It makes it seem even more personal.
Yeah. And speaking of personal, nature journaling can really boost your gratitude.
Oh, right. Yeah, gratitude. We were talking about that before.
Yeah. So while you're observing and writing, take a second to appreciate the beauty, the wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Write down a few things you're grateful for,
Okay, I see.
like the warmth of the sun, or the sound of birds singing, or just the patterns on a leaf.
I love that. It's like you're embedding gratitude in your journaling.
Exactly. And these moments of gratitude, They can have a ripple effect,
Mm.
not just on you, but on your relationship with nature.
Mm.
When you're grateful for nature, you want to protect it.
That's a great point. Gratitude can make you want to take action.
Yes. And speaking of action, nature journaling can be a springboard for your own creativity.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
As you spend time observing and reflecting, you might get inspired by the colors and shapes you see.
Yeah.
And that can spill over into other things you do, like your art, your writing, your music, even your work.
So nature becomes like a muse.
Exactly.
Wow. Just keeps getting more and more interesting. So, practically speaking, what kind of journal should I use? What should I bring with me?
Well, the most important thing is to find a journal you love. Some people like lined notebooks.
Right.
Others like sketchbooks. There's even special nature journals with prompts.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it's all about what you like.
Yeah.
As for what to bring, it depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I always recommend a few things.
Okay, what are they?
A good pen or pencil, one that you enjoy writing with,
Yeah, that makes a difference.
and a sharpener if you're using pencils. And if you like to add color, a watercolor set or colored pencils. And then just a bag to carry it all. You can even add extras, like a magnifying glass or a ruler, or even a field guide to identify plants and animals.
Wow. I'm feeling more prepared already.
Yeah.
But do you have any tips for actually writing or drawing in the journal?
Well, it's really up to you.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to experiment.
Okay.
Try different styles, writing styles, drawing techniques, layouts. See what works for you.
I like that. Freedom to experiment.
Yeah. And don't take it too seriously. It should be fun.
Right.
If you get caught up in being perfect, just remember, it's about the process, not the product.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah. And here's another tip. Try prompts.
Oh, okay.
It helps focus your observations.
Okay, what kind of prompts?
Like you could focus on one sense, like sight
Yeah.
or sound, and see how it changes your experience. You could even write a haiku.
Oh, wow. That's a good idea. It's adding a bit more structure.
Yeah, exactly. And prompts are great for connecting with other people who like nature journaling. There's online communities. Yeah, they share prompts and entries. It's like a virtual nature journaling circle.
I love that. Now, before we move on, I want to talk about something that came up in the research.
Okay.
Technology.
Yeah,
It seems like our devices can be good and bad when it comes to nature.
definitely. I mean, think about it. We have amazing apps for identifying birds, guided meditations, even VR nature.
Yeah.
But at the same time, those devices can pull you away from actually being present in nature.
It's like you're trying to connect with nature, but you're getting all these notifications
Right.
and updates. It's hard to disconnect.
It is. So the key is balance.
Right.
Using technology to help you connect, but not letting it take over.
Okay.
One idea is to have tech-free times.
Oh, right.
Like when you go for a walk, put your phone on airplane mode.
I like that. Like a digital detox.
Exactly. Give your
Okay.
mind a break.
Right.
And, you don't have to completely ditch technology. I use a bird identification app on walks all the time.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. So you're using it as a tool to enhance the experience.
Exactly.
That's a good way to put it. Speaking of enhancing the experience, I'm curious to hear about, people who are doing this well already. Were there any examples from the research that stood out to you?
Oh, yeah, there were some inspiring stories. One person, her name was Sarah, she starts every day by working in her rooftop garden in the city.
Oh, wow.
And then she does yoga on her terrace with nature sounds playing.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, she's created her own little haven
Yeah.
in the middle of all that hustle and bustle.
Right. So it shows you can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
What other examples did you find?
There was a guy, James. He's a photographer and a hiking guide.
Okay.
So he spends his mornings taking pictures of the sunrise.
Oh, wow.
And it's really inspiring for him, both physically and creatively.
It sounds like he turned his love of nature into his job.
He did. And it's great that he shares it with others.
Yeah. So it shows you can connect with nature in so many different ways.
Yeah, it's all about finding what works for you. But what's interesting is that Sarah and James, despite their very different routines, they had some things in common.
Oh, really? Like what?
They both prioritized what made them happy. They were able to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
And they focused on making those small changes.
Right. Consistently.
Consistently, yes.
That's such a good point. We don't need to completely overhaul our lives. Just
No.
make those small, consistent changes.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of changes, I'm curious to hear more about the specific ways nature affects our well-being.
Well, there's more and more research all the time that shows how nature impacts our physical, mental, and emotional health.
Right.
Like studies have shown that spending time in nature can actually lower your blood pressure.
Oh, wow.
reduce stress hormones,
Hmm.
boost your immune system, even improve your sleep.
That's amazing. So it really is like an antidote to the stress of modern life.
Yeah. And then there's the mental and emotional benefits.
Hmm.
Nature can really affect your mood and how well you think. Studies show that it can lessen anxiety and depression,
Oh.
improve focus, boost creativity.
It's incredible. So it's not just good for your body, it's good for your mind and spirit too.
Absolutely. And the best part is, anyone can connect with nature no matter where they live.
Right.
Even just taking a few deep breaths of fresh air or listening to birds can make a difference.
It's empowering to think about that. Like nature is a gift that's always there. We just have to take the time to notice.
Exactly. And the more you connect with nature, the more you realize that we're all connected to each other and to all living things.
Beautifully said. I'm feeling so inspired to connect more with nature. Do you have any like last tips for someone just starting out?
Just start. Don't overthink it. Pick one small thing you can do every day. Go for a walk, listen to nature sounds, get a plant. Be patient with yourself. It's a journey. Some days you'll feel more connected than others. Just keep going and keep that sense of wonder alive.
That's great advice. And I love how we're focusing on small, manageable steps.
Mhm.
Now, before we move on to specific techniques and practices,
Okay.
I want to touch on one more thing from the research. This idea that connecting with nature isn't just about us, it's about our responsibility to the planet.
Yeah, that's important. When you connect with nature deeply, you start to care more about the environment.
Right. It's like we protect what we love. The more we appreciate nature, the more we want to take care of it.
Absolutely.
Huh.
You realize that everything is connected, and your actions affect the whole ecosystem. So when you make choices that are good for nature, you're helping yourself and the planet.
That's a powerful message. Our personal well-being is tied to the well-being of the planet.
It is. So think about how you can bring that responsibility into your everyday life, like reducing plastic, making sustainable choices, or supporting groups that protect our environment.
Those are great ideas. It's about making those small, everyday choices that add up. And I think it comes back to gratitude.
Yes, gratitude is the foundation for a healthy relationship with nature. When you're grateful for what nature gives you, you naturally want to give back.
So well said. I think we've covered so much in this first part.
We have.
We've talked about the power of routine, mindfulness, gratitude, technology,
Yeah.
even our connection to the planet.
It's been a great conversation.
Yeah, really inspiring.
I'm excited to keep going.
Me too. In the next part, we're going to look at some specific techniques and practices for connecting with nature,
Yes.
like mindful movement, visualization,
Yeah.
and the power of the senses. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to our deep dive. We've been talking about nature and how it affects us in all sorts of ways. And now we're moving into something I think you'll find interesting. Mindful movement.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited to hear more about this. I know it's not just about like going to the gym, but I'm not totally clear on how it connects with nature.
Yeah, it's about finding that connection between moving your body and being aware of nature. It's not about pushing yourself hard. It's more about like tuning in to your body and your surroundings.
Okay, I see. So like, what are some examples of mindful movement that we can actually do?
One of the best ones is walking. Just walking mindfully.
I do love a good walk, but how do I make it mindful? What should I be like focusing on?
So as you walk, feel your feet on the ground. Notice your breath, how it changes as you move. And most importantly, pay attention to what's around you. The sights, sounds, even smells.
So it's like turning a walk into a moving meditation.
Exactly. And you'll probably find that you slow down naturally. You notice more, and you feel more peaceful, more connected.
I'm going to try that next time I'm out. What about other kinds of mindful movement? I've always wanted to try yoga, especially outside.
Yoga is perfect for connecting with nature. So many poses are about rooting down into the earth, like mountain pose, tree pose, warrior pose. They make you feel strong and stable.
I love that image of being rooted in the earth. It's so strong, and I can only imagine doing those poses outside, like surrounded by trees or something.
Yeah, it's amazing. And as you do yoga outside, try picturing things in your mind, like your feet growing roots, the sun on your skin, the sounds of nature all around you.
Oh, wow, that's really cool. It's like adding another layer to the experience. Speaking of which, I always listen to music when I work out.
Yeah.
Does that count as mindful movement too?
Music can definitely play a part in mindful movement.
Yeah.
Putting together a playlist with nature sounds like birdsong or ocean waves
Yeah.
can make it more calming and immersive. Or even just instrumental music that feels peaceful.
It's like giving your movement a soundtrack. That's a great idea. Now, speaking of things that can enhance the experience,
Mhm.
I'm really curious about visualization. I've heard about it, but I want to know more about how it can help us connect with nature, especially when we can't actually be outside.
Visualization is basically making pictures in your mind.
Right.
And when you use it to connect with nature, it can bring you those feelings of peace and happiness that you get when you're outdoors.
So it's like bringing nature to you. I love that. But I have to admit, I'm not very good at visualizing. Like, any tips?
Yeah, it's about finding what works for you. But here's a good place to start. Find a quiet spot where you can relax. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Now imagine a place in nature that makes you feel calm. A forest, a beach, a meadow, anything.
I like that I get to choose. It makes it feel more personal. So, what do I do once I have that image in my mind?
Now use all your senses. What do you see, hear, smell, feel? The more details you add, the more real it will feel.
It's like painting a picture in my mind. I can see how that would make a big difference.
Exactly, and the more you practice, the easier it will become to access those feelings of peace, even when you're busy.
That's amazing. It's like you're training your mind to connect with nature. This whole conversation has me thinking about how we can bring nature into other areas of our lives too,
Mhm.
like eating. I know mindful eating is a thing, but how does that connect with nature?
Mindful eating is all about paying attention when you eat, slowing down, enjoying every bite, appreciating the food, and nature is a big part of that in a few ways.
Okay, tell me more. How does nature fit into mindful eating?
Well, first of all, when you eat mindfully, you're more likely to choose food that's actually good for you. Fresh, whole foods, not processed stuff. And that often means food that's grown locally and in season, which is good for you and good for the planet.
Right, so it's like a chain reaction of good choices.
Exactly. And beyond just the food itself, mindful eating helps you appreciate where your food comes from. When you slow down and really taste your food, you realize it didn't just appear out of thin air. It took the sun, the soil, water, farmers, so many things working together to make that meal.
Wow, yeah, that's true. We're part of a much bigger system.
We are. And that realization makes you grateful and respectful of the food and the earth. And that feeling can even extend to making your eating space more peaceful and inviting.
Oh, I like that. How can we create a nature-inspired dining space?
Well, if you eat in a cluttered or chaotic space, it's hard to relax and enjoy your meal,
Right.
but a peaceful space sets the stage for a better experience. And nature can help with that. Try adding fresh flowers or plants.
Sure.
Open a window for fresh air and sunlight. Or even eat outside if you can.
I love those ideas. Little things can make a big difference.
They do. And speaking of little things, think about how you present your food.
Oh, yeah. I'm all about making food look beautiful.
Me too. It makes it more enjoyable. And nature is full of inspiration for that. Use herbs, flowers, leaves to decorate your plate. Choose colorful fruits and veggies. You could even arrange your food to look like things in nature, like spirals or mandalas.
Oh, that's so creative. It's like turning your meal into an art project inspired by nature.
Exactly. And speaking of nature's art, one of the best ways to connect with nature through food is by eating what's in season.
Right, seasonal eating. We talked about that a bit before. I'd love to hear more about why it's so beneficial.
So seasonal eating means choosing food that's naturally growing in your area at that time. It's about matching your diet to the rhythms of the earth. And there's so many benefits. First of all, seasonal food tastes better, and it's more nutritious because it's picked at the perfect time.
That makes sense. And what about the environmental impact?
Environmentally, it's great. When you eat locally grown food, you're reducing the distance that food has to travel,
Right, less transportation.
which is good for the planet. Plus, you're supporting local farmers. It's a win-win situation.
It is. But how do you even know what's in season?
Go to a farmer's market. That's the best way to see what's fresh.
Okay.
You can also find seasonal food guides online, or just pay attention to what's at your grocery store or local restaurants.
That's a good point. I'm feeling inspired to try some new things. This has been so interesting. But I have to admit, it feels a little overwhelming. Like, how do you actually make all these changes?
Yeah, it can feel that way. One of the biggest challenges is time. We're also busy. It's hard to find time for nature, even if we want to. And then there's the issue of access. Not everyone lives near parks or forests,
Right.
and sometimes the weather isn't cooperating. And of course, there's technology, always vying for our attention. It's hard to disconnect.
It is. So, what can we do? How do we make space for nature in our busy modern lives?
It comes down to priorities. Make nature a priority. Put it in your schedule, just like anything else important. Even a few minutes a day can make a difference.
Okay, so make it non-negotiable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do everything at once. Start small. If you have coffee in the morning, step outside to drink it. If you take the bus, get off a stop early and walk through a park.
Those are good ideas, small steps.
Yeah. You can also make nature part of your social life.
Oh, okay, how?
Instead of meeting friends inside, suggest a walk in the park or a hike or a picnic.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, you're creating a nature community.
I love that. What about self-care? Can we incorporate nature into that too?
Absolutely. Think about what helps you relax and recharge. Then add nature to it. If you like taking baths, use essential oils like lavender or eucalyptus. If you like to read, find a spot outside to read. If music helps you relax, make a nature sounds playlist.
Oh, I love those ideas. So many possibilities.
There are. And don't forget about all the resources out there. Books, articles, podcasts, apps, guided meditations. There's so much information to help you connect with nature.
Wow, it's amazing. It feels like a whole world is out there.
It is. Just start exploring and see what you like. There's no right or wrong way. Just find what brings you joy and makes you feel more connected.
That's a great message. So before we move on to specific techniques, I'm wondering if there are any rituals or practices that can help us connect with nature on a deeper level.
There are. And one of the most powerful is gratitude.
Oh yeah, gratitude. We've talked about it a few times already, but I want to know more about how it specifically relates to nature.
Gratitude is simply being thankful for the good things in your life. And nature is full of things to be grateful for.
Yeah, that's true. But how do we actually practice gratitude for nature? What can we do?
There are a lot of different ways, and the best one is what feels right for you. But a good place to start is by having a gratitude ritual in the morning. Just think about the things in nature that you appreciate. The sunshine, the birds, the flowers, anything.
I like that, starting the day with a positive nature-inspired thought.
Yeah, and you can write those things down in a journal.
Mm.
Make a special section just for nature gratitude.
I love that. Visual reminders are so helpful. Are there other ways to create those reminders?
You could create a nature altar or a gratitude space in your home. It's just a special spot where you put things from nature that you find beautiful.
Like what kinds of things?
Stones, shells, feathers, pine cones, crystals, anything that speaks to you.
I love that. It's like bringing a little piece of nature inside.
Exactly. And you can use this space for your gratitude practice. Spend a few minutes each morning reflecting on the things you appreciate about nature and add new things to your collection.
It sounds so peaceful and inspiring. Are there any other practices we can use to cultivate gratitude for nature?
Affirmations are really powerful. Those are positive statements you repeat to yourself. And you can make them nature-focused, like, I am grounded and connected to the earth, I am nourished by the abundance of nature, or I am grateful for the beauty that surrounds me.
Oh, I love those. It's like we're speaking our gratitude into existence. But sometimes I forget to do these practices. Any tips for staying consistent?
It's hard to be consistent. One thing that helps is to link your practices to something you already do every day, like brushing your teeth or making coffee. That way, you have a built-in reminder.
That's a great idea. Okay, before we move on, I want to talk about technology again. We touched on it earlier, but it's such an important part of our lives.
Definitely. It's a double-edged sword. We have all these amazing apps and resources, but they can also distract us from actually experiencing nature.
Yeah, it's hard to disconnect sometimes.
It is. So we need to find that balance, using technology to help us connect with nature, but not letting it control us.
So how do we do that? Any strategies?
One thing you can do is have tech-free times. Like when you're on a walk, put your phone on airplane mode. Or set aside a specific time each day to unplug completely.
A digital detox.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Give your mind a break.
That's a great idea, but I also like the idea of using technology mindfully. Like you mentioned using a bird identification app. That's a great way to learn and appreciate nature more.
Absolutely. It's about being intentional with our technology use. Now, I want to share some inspiring stories about people who are doing a great job of incorporating nature into their lives.
Yes, I'd love to hear about that.
There was this woman, Sarah, who lives in a big city and created a rooftop garden. She starts her day taking care of her plants, then she does yoga on her terrace with nature sounds playing.
Oh, wow, that's so cool. She created her own little oasis.
Yeah, it shows that you can connect with nature anywhere, even in the middle of a busy city.
I love that. Were there any other examples?
There was this guy, James, who's a nature photographer and hiking guide. He spends his mornings taking pictures of the sunrise. He's turned his love of nature into his career.
Oh, that's amazing. So inspiring.
It is. And what's interesting is that Sarah and James, even though they do completely different things, They both share some common traits. They prioritize what makes them happy, they're adaptable, and they focus on making those small, consistent changes.
Yeah, that consistency is key. We don't have to make huge changes overnight, just small steps.
Exactly. Now, I think it's important to talk about the bigger picture here. Our connection with nature isn't just about personal well-being. It's also about our responsibility to the planet.
Yeah, I agree. When we connect with nature, we start to care more about protecting it.
It's true. We realize that we're all connected and our actions have a ripple effect. So when we make choices that are good for nature, we're helping ourselves and the entire planet.
That's a powerful message. Our well-being is connected to the well-being of the earth.
Absolutely. So think about how you can bring that sense of responsibility into your life. Maybe you reduce your use of plastic, make sustainable choices when you shop, or support organizations that are working to protect the environment.
Those are great suggestions. Small changes can make a big difference. And it all comes back to that feeling of gratitude.
Yes. When we appreciate nature, we naturally want to protect it. Now, are you ready to dive into some more specific practices for cultivating gratitude?
Absolutely. I'm ready. Let's do it.
We've been talking about how gratitude can really deepen our connection with nature. And I think one of the most powerful things you can do is to just be in nature, like really be there. No phone, no distractions, just you and the natural world.
Yeah, I love that. Just being present. So, how else can we use our senses to connect with nature more deeply?
Well, we talked about mindful walking earlier. That's a great way to engage your senses. Feel the ground under your feet, listen to the sounds around you, notice the smells.
It's like a symphony for your senses.
Exactly. And you could even try keeping a sensory nature journal. Don't just write, draw, or sketch things too. You could even collect things like leaves and flowers and put them in your journal.
Oh, that's a cool idea. I like that. What about other sensory practices?
Making a nature mandala is a really powerful one. Mandalas are circular designs, and they represent the universe and how everything's connected. To make a nature mandala, you arrange things you find in nature, like leaves, flowers, stones, shells, in a circle.
I love that. It's like a beautiful way to connect with nature's energy.
It is. And making the mandala can be really meditative and grounding. You can also try using essential oils. They're plant extracts with lots of therapeutic benefits.
Oh, yeah. I love essential oils. I use lavender to help me sleep. Are there any oils that are particularly good for connecting with nature?
Yeah. Cedarwood, cypress, and pine are all very grounding. They can help you feel more connected to the earth. You can diffuse them, put them in your bath, or even make a special aromatherapy blend.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm going to have to try that. Scent is so powerful. It can really bring back memories and change your mood.
Yeah, it's true. Your sense of smell is connected to the part of your brain that controls your emotions and memories. So those nature scents can really have a big impact. And speaking of impact, one of the most important things you can do to connect with nature is to rest, relax.
That's a good point. I definitely feel more appreciative of nature when I'm feeling good and rested. How can we build rest and relaxation into our nature practice?
The simplest way is to just spend time in nature without trying to do anything. Just find a comfortable spot and let yourself relax. Take in the sights and sounds. Just be.
I love that. Just letting go of all the doing and just being.
Exactly. It's incredibly restorative. You could also try some guided meditations or nature visualizations.
Yeah.
There are lots of resources online and in apps.
Oh, I love guided meditations. They really help me to quiet my mind. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, do you have any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are just starting to explore their connection with nature?
Just start. Don't overthink it. Pick one small thing and do it every day. A walk, listening to nature sounds, anything. And be patient. It's a journey, not a race. Some days will be easier than others. Just keep showing up, keep exploring, and never lose that sense of wonder.
That's beautiful. And it really sums up what we've been talking about today. Connecting with nature is a gift. It doesn't matter who you are or where you live. It's about those small moments of joy and gratitude that remind us how connected we are to the natural world. And when we nurture that connection, we're not only helping ourselves, but we're helping the planet too.
That's right. It's a win-win.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it helpful and inspiring. Remember, nature is always there for you. Go explore it, connect with it, and let it fill you with joy. Until next time.